Good afternoon. We call the March Code Enforcement Board meeting to order. If everybody please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I'd ask if anybody that wants to testify today remain standing and be sworn in at this time.
If you'll raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you.
Anybody have any?
Sorry. Anybody have any revisions to the minutes from last month's meeting or a motion to adopt?
I will make the motion to adopt.
Second. Moving second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Staff, do we have any revisions to today's agenda?
Yes, I have two. Under 5B, 1B, Betty Smith, she has paid her civil penalty and she has complied by receiving her permit.
Good.
And B1D is in Delta 821 Dahlia. They have complied by paying their citation and correcting the violation.
Also under B, H, case 16 CE 6412, Matt Martise is being pulled today. Item I, case 16 CE 6405, Jeff's Tractor Service, Michael Schlitt Construction, 546 Indian Lilac LLC is being pulled also.
Why is that one being pulled? Aye.
They've submitted an after-the-fact tree permit and mitigation is being calculated.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, if you give me just a second.
Certainly.
I think on the two that Tom mentioned, there were prior orders, so the board may have to take action. Let me just take a look here. Yes, there was an order entered finding violation and order to correct, so the board will need to take action on that to find that there was correction.
Which one's that?
Is that on B?
That's Betty Smith, 15 CE 6204. You can take that action now if you like, or we can wait till it comes up on the agenda. Basically, the officers just testified that it's in compliance and that she's paid her initial penalty. And apparently, he's not requesting any other costs or penalties, Tom?
Correct.
So if you find that it's been corrected, we'll just prepare an order accordingly. And then,
Okay. Do we make a motion?
You want to do that now? Or
Sure.
We can dispose of it?
Yep. I'll move that there was a violation that's been corrected and that civil penalty's been paid and no further penalties be levied.
Is that on both or just for Betty Smith?
Well, you need to do one at a time.
Just
On Betty Smith then? I'll second that motion on Betty Smith's action.
all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
And ARLP is actually the same thing. The officer just testified it's been corrected and penalties paid. Is that correct, Tom?
No, I did
That was,
821 Dahlia is what I did.
Oh,
It has been corrected, citation has been paid, but it hasn't been heard before the board.
okay.
Up to this
That one's
point.
fine. He can just remove that one.
All right, good.
Sorry for the interruption.
It's okay. All right, we'll move back to the beginning. Case 16-CE-6375.
Can we have a motion to adopt the agenda as amended, please?
Yes. I'll make a motion then to adopt the agenda as modified.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, 16-CE-6375, Treasure Coast Tax Advisory Group.
A little history on the case, requesting a board order for 16 CE 6375. The violator, Treasure Coast Tax Advisory Group, Jack McInerney, was cited as a repeat violator for 10 prohibited signs placed on the right-of-ways of 21st Street, Indian River Boulevard, and Royal Palm Point. The signs were picked up by officers of the Vero Beach Police Department. A citation was issued with service of the citation provided by certified mail and is on file with the city clerk. Mr. McInerney has requested a hearing on the citation and should be here today. The violation has been corrected as of 1/31/16, and the civil penalty has not been paid.
Okay. Mr. McInerney? Mind stepping up to the podium, please?
And Mr. Chairman, Mr. McInerney, we appreciate the sentiment, but this board can't accept gifts. I mean, they're just like a judge in court. You can't go up and give the judge a gift.
Didn't think that way.
So
I saw you guys looking at them, excuse me. And I was like, oh.
we appreciate it, but
Yeah, give them away, throw them out. I mean, I get it.
we'll turn them over to the clerk if you want to pick them back up.
That's fine.
And you were sworn in? I saw you.
Yes, I was, yes. Yeah. Just a thought. Okay. Me?
Yeah, go ahead,
Okay.
state your name and your address.
John McInerney, Jack, business here, 15 years, Vero Beach on Royal Palm Point. I have a business here, and right after Christmas, it burned down. And in moving my business, I also had a sign to go up. It was laid on the tree, which I get that sign. That is not even an issue. The signs that I had posted around, which are the signs that are in question here, or in fact, were illegally put down out here on 21st Street. I'm aware of that. I'm aware of the code. Unfortunately, in a letter I've sent to or given to the board indicating that if I had been there when they were delivered to my office by the printer, they would not be properly installed within Vero Beach Limit City. Unfortunately, I was out of town. They were put up on Friday. I got back on Sunday, realized that they were put out there. I got up Monday morning, 6 o'clock, and retrieved as many signs as I could that had not been already picked up. In violation twice. Yes, I received one notification of violation, and the second violation came the same day. I had already picked up the signs after the violation from the officer was given to me. At this point in time, I'm just asking, I get it, I'm sorry.
For a point of
Violations have been happening.
clarification,
What?
the reason he was cited as a repeat is he has paid a fine for the sign before. I think he's talking about the sign by the tree is unrelated to this.
That was in what year? Was it last year? No. Was it?
It was attached to the backup when he paid the fine before for the same signs.
Well, I'll go back to that. I was told you have to have the green sticker. I went to the court, up here, and I bought my registration for my signs. Unbeknownst to me, when I put them back out, I didn't understand that there's supposed to be event signs, and they were. Come see me this weekend to have a tax evaluation. I get it. So, yes, I was violated last year, and that's why I knew not to put them out again.
I'm just going to show them this is the sign.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That is not the, yeah.
And the code's definition for a special event when a sign can be obtained with a permit, a special event is a limited or special public, community, civil, educational, cultural, religious, or commercial event or function.
Who did put the signs out?
One of my new employees, Michael Hodges, who's a new accountant, he thought he was helping me out because they got delivered by the printer, and I was all over the printer for them and a new sign for my office. So they were rushed delivered on Friday. He thought he was doing me a favor, looking for thanks a lot. Well, it wasn't a thanks a lot. I'm not arguing the point. I'm just asking, I'm not arguing the point that I'm wrong. I am wrong. Violation 2014 or 15, violation 2016, I get it. I'm asking for...
Did I understand you correctly? You bought the little stickers and everything and
Oh, yeah.
didn't get put on the signs?
No, he
No, not this
applied in
year.
the past for a special event and was denied because $59 tax returns is not a special event according to the planning director.
Yeah,
Correction.
$30 or so. That'd be-
Correction.
Ken?
Correction. I was given the green stickers, not this year.
Okay.
Not this year, the prior year. So I put them
Got it.
on there. And they were not, and you're correct, they are not a special event sign. Got it. So they asked me to remove the green sticker signs. I said, okay, I'm done. I'm out, done with them. I understand I was using for a different area, not in Township of Vero Beach, and I understand those rules. I really do. I get it. I'm just asking for an exception to the amount of money of which when you burn down your office in the year that you're moving and something like this hits you, $59 for a tax return and a $1,000 fine for me and a major move and a fire in Vero Beach. I'm a business owner, I get it, I pay my taxes here, and I appreciate your service and your laws, and I don't want those signs littering my town either. I get it, I don't want cheap houses for sale or buy a broken down, I get it, so I do apologize for that on behalf of my employee, my company. Sorry.
Question. Where would you have put these signs if they had not been put there?
When we went to an event, we were going to an event up north of the city, so, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
They're especially put out for, there was an event that we were allowed to bring them to, and it was a music fest and everything, we were allowed to bring them there, and that's what those signs were meant to be. So, it's $1,000. That's it comes down to black and white. Yes or no. If not, I'm prepared to pay my fine. I was wrong. Just a business guy trying to get by.
Have a recommendation or any?
I have no recommendation. The signs were calculated 10 signs as a repeat violation, so whatever the board decides.
May I speak?
Yeah.
Based on the hardship this man has encountered, his business, was your business or your house?
23 Royal Palm Point was my office for 14 years.
Okay.
And now I just moved to 65 Royal Palm Point within Vero Beach.
Okay, so you've had some tragedy, basically.
Yes, sir.
You've had to start over?
From the beginning, from
Okay.
pencil to pens to furniture and, well, yeah,
Okay. You know better now?
I certainly do.
And your employees are not going to do that ever again?
No, sir, they are not.
Okay. I just think that he has to be fined, but nowhere near what we're asking. That's just my opinion.
What are the numbers here?
10 signs at
Repeat
$100
violators,
each
automatic
because it's a repeat
$100.
violation, so $1,000.
$1,000.
But repeat violators is
$100.
automatically $100.
Otherwise, it'd be 50.
Otherwise, it'd be 50.
Any discussion or
I just
put a number behind your
Listen,
suggestion?
he says he's been here 14 years. He's had a fire. To me, that's a tragedy. He's a businessman. He seems like a fairly nice gentleman. I'm not going to throw out a number, but I think we can cut back a little bit and try and help the man reestablish his business and his life. That's my position.
Why don't we make it $100?
I second that motion.
Yeah.
Okay,
Could you repeat that?
Was that a motion?
$100 total.
total fine.
We need a little better motion, though. $100 is,
Yeah, total fine.
Were there costs?
No, the officers picked the signs
okay.
up on Saturday. Police officers.
It's out the cost of the signs, too.
are they cheaper than you guys?
Nope, but it was Saturday, and they
Uh-huh.
were against the code, and the officers picked them up.
All right, I'll make the motion then that there was a violation and violation has been brought into compliance. And this is also a repeat violation and that the board, can I go ahead and issue an order?
Certainly, you can
Yeah, that the
establish
board issue an
what the
order
total civil penalty you
Yeah.
want to impose.
Was there a penalty also, a citation for $50 or?
The citation was for 1,000, 10 signs at
Okay.
$100. So
I
you
got you.
rescind it to 100, my citation doesn't matter.
I understand that. I just wanted to know if you wrote him a ticket, but you didn't do it anyway, so.
He did get a citation,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah, we have to speak up. We have trouble hearing over here. Am I correct, Sherry? She's having trouble.
All right,
$50 was paid.
no, he hasn't paid anything yet, right?
No, sir, I'm not.
Okay.
Paid.
Then we issue, the board issue an order for payment of a $100 penalty,
2014.
I accept.
and hopefully it won't happen again.
Never. Never.
So you're reducing it from $1,000 to $100.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Herbie, you going to second that? Because
Yeah, I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Great.
And then you can get your books back.
Please. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
You tease us like that.
That's okay.
Oh, here's one.
Sherry
Here, you left
Sherry
one.
can have one, right? No?
Thanks. Thank you very much.
Gentlemen, thank you for your time. Sorry for the city time.
Okay. We'll move on to 16-CE-6466. Milos Kondrad.
Mr. Chairman, January 5th, 2016, the building department staff received a complaint of siding being replaced without permits at 1340 Indian Mound Trail in Castaway Cove. This is Wave 5. I pulled up at 1:52 p.m. and observed two men working. One was operating a chop saw, the other with a tool belt up near the house. The men stated they had worked for K&K Trim and received wages via check on a weekly basis. The third gentleman walked over from across the street shortly after. According to the men's driver's license, their names were Vladimir Bada, Martin Skacina, and Merrick Fedor. I also observed approximately 50 feet of siding being removed on the west side of the house, along with some plywood sheathing underneath. Several other sections of the house were scheduled for replacement. Some had been started and some had not. A stop work order was posted, and Milos Kondrad of K&K Trim arrived. Mr. Kondrad is here this afternoon. After discussing his insurance and his license, it was determined that Mr. Kondrad is a corporate officer of the company, and that Jaroslav Keller was the qualifier of the K&K Trim, the licensing company, the contractor. K&K Trim is comp exempt, workers' comp exempt. They do not have workers' comp employees and therefore cannot have employees. It was after some dialogue with the building department over whether the scope of work needed a permit, it was decided that due to the sheeting work, that's the substrate underneath the siding that was removed, permits would be required. Mr. Kondrad was cited under Code Section 22-86F and 22-106 for not having workers' comp for his employees and failure to provide a building permit. The workers' comp is a clear violation of having employees out there, and Mr. Kondrad or Mr. Keller neither one of them were on the job working when I pulled up, but they had employees there. The issue on whether or not the permit was required was there was a lot of dialogue on that. I myself was a little unclear as to whether he needed a permit for the scope of work that was being done. I called the building official, they discussed it internally there, and it was decided that he did need a permit. They should have had a permit. So both Mr. Kondrad and myself were unaware that the scope of work being done did require a permit, because we were only at maybe 100 or 50 square feet of siding that was removed. So that is a questionable issue right there. The workers' comp is not, in my opinion. Mr. Kondrad is here today appealing his citation.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Kondrad, would you like to step up here? Please state your name and your address for the record.
I'm Milos Kondrad. I live on Sebastian, 1695 Barber Street.
Could you speak up a little louder, sir?
I am from Sebastian, 1695 Barber Street. I live there. And I do a neighbor, I build a cabinet inside the bathroom, and neighbor asked me, "You a carpenter?" Yes. I need to replace maybe 10 pieces the siding and trim around the window because it's rough. You do this? Yes. And I just help him this small job and just do it. And I don't know what it need me the permit for just the siding, and I'm sorry, and I don't know.
Okay.
You're in a contracted business, you're licensed?
Yeah.
Have you ever worked in Vero before?
Me and my friend is.
Okay. Have you ever worked?
Jaroslav.
Have you ever worked in the city of Vero before?
Yeah.
Did you get permits the last time?
It's the...
Did you know you had to get a permit?
No.
But you've worked in the city before?
I working for the seaside construction, and I'm just...
Could you repeat that a little louder?
I working for the seaside mainly, and seaside construction, and
Okay.
I never and for the permit, and first time
This is your own business now?
yes,
And how long have you been in business?
10 years.
10 years?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Just for a point of clarification, Mr. Chairman, K&K Trim's license is a finished carpentry license, and the scope of work that they can do under that license entails paneling, trim, cabinetry, doors, windows, and hardware. It does not include anything structural.
So the siding would have been allowable, just not the sheathing.
The siding was, that's debatable, but the sheeting underneath, definitely no.
I working before in New York, and still in finished carpentry and doing siding, everything. I don't know when. Here is the siding for the framing license. I don't know. I'm sorry.
What does our contractor
It's a
say?
small job, and
Well, sometimes they do trim work on the exterior, but as far as siding, what kind of siding was it?
is the regular
The
siding.
hardy plank lap siding?
It's not the hardy. It's the wood siding. The
Cedar.
cedar.
Cedar
7
by 8 sheets?
Cedar bevel
Yeah.
cedar.
Okay.
1 by 10, I think.
And I changed the.
But the sheathing underneath, the plywood has to be nailed off.
Yeah.
Certain spacing and everything like that, and straps. When you open up a can of worms, you gotta make it how it should be. And a permit should have been done. I agree. So I believe he is at a fault.
I have other questions. Mentioning no workers' compensation, did I hear that correctly, sir?
Yes, sir.
Have you addressed that problem?
We posted a stop work order. They could not come back and finish the job. He was also instructed that he's not allowed to have any employees unless they're through a temp agency. You cannot have any employees unless they are employees that are registered, and he does have workers' comp for those employees.
Have you done other jobs in the city since then? No. Okay, thank you.
So they received their checks through him?
According to the testimonies of the 3 gentlemen that his names I brought up before, they said they receive checks by way of K&K Trim. When I asked if they received the W-2, they couldn't answer that.
But if they were independent contractors, couldn't they have still gotten a check and been, I'm just asking, I don't know.
It's possible. The gentlemen were from Slovakia. Their license was from Slovakia, country of Slovakia, Republic of Slovakia, I guess it is.
Is that where you're from?
Slovakia too, yeah.
Are you familiar with the federal laws of this country in terms of, and the labor laws of this country? And do you plan in the future to do something about when you employ that many people to have workers' comp?
No, I do just small jobs here, and now don't need the workers' comp, and.
Wait, we have a little problem here then. We have been told that you need workers' comp for your employees, and you're telling me and this group you do not need it.
Yeah, I know, and these 2 guys is visit me. It's from New York, and just visit me and going stay in my house. It's what to do today. I go help you, okay, and it's still these guys is finished carpentry in New York, and
I understand.
That is the problem, and
okay.
You pay
my
tax?
mistake, and
Do you pay taxes on the checks that you're giving him?
yeah.
You are, so they would be considered independent contractors?
Well, they're not
Just if
employees.
he sends them a 1099.
They're not employees of the company. If they are not receiving workers' comp.
They are employees, and they're not receiving workers' comp.
If they are employees of the company, according to their testimony. Whether or not they're independent contractors or not, if you want to label that, that would be my response, is that they are employees of the company. They would be unlicensed contractors if they worked independently.
How long have they been here?
Here?
The people that were working for you, how long have they been in the United States? Staying with you?
10 years.
They stay with you for 10 years?
These people?
Yeah.
No, these people, it's on September or October.
Okay.
Are they still here?
Me the 10 years, me and
Yeah.
my friend, not them.
Are they still in Sebastian?
Yeah.
Okay, are they still working for you?
These guys? No.
No. Okay. You understand, if your workers' comp exempt, only you can be on the job. The other two guys have to go through a temp agency.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, I think it's pretty clear.
Unless a contractor puts them under their payroll and pays their work comp.
Okay.
He's been cited for uninsured contractor violation and also failure to apply for building permit. It would appear that the building permit, even our own officials were in question as to whether or not that was appropriate. So,
Is the building permit is for the owner, not for me. I don't know.
Could you clarify that, sir?
I'm sorry. Clarify what?
Well, this gentleman is saying that the building permits are for the owner. Isn't the contractor supposed to, or someone supposed to take out the print, and nobody did it, to the best of my knowledge? Is that correct?
It could be both ways, really. If the owner did pull the permit, it would be under an owner-builder permit, and they would be required to hire a licensed
But
contractor.
none was pulled?
No permits were pulled. If not, if the owner didn't pull it, then the contractor would be responsible for pulling the permit.
It seems to me, sir, that you are responsible if the owner didn't do it. Therefore, you're left holding the bag, unfortunately. The question is, how much money is it going to cost you for that purse?
Well, it's sort of interesting that even the building department didn't know if they needed one or not.
Yeah. Just a reminder, on these type violations, you cannot reduce the amount of the penalty. You have two violations cited. You could find one or both of them occurred and this gentleman is responsible, or you could find only one of them occurred. That's your determination here, but you can't reduce the $500 penalty for a particular violation. Only if you find another violation is in doubt and you shouldn't find it occurred. That's up to you. That's your decision.
I think there's enough gray area on the license, or on the contract, or the permit side, that I would recommend that we kind of drop that.
I would tend to agree with you. There is a gray area.
You know,
That's a
that
motion,
was an iffy
second.
one. But I'm not clear, are these people employees of yours, or are they friends who are helping out?
It's just the friends and help it just this one day because it's here for the vacation, you know, and still no car, and this guy is the Finnish carpentry in New York. I go help you. There is the job maybe 6-7 hours, you know, not all day. Just replace the couple sidings and.
Did you pay
help
them?
Me. Huh?
Did you pay them?
No, because I stopped the job and.
Oh, you didn't pay
Did
them?
you intend to pay them?
No.
Okay.
Oh, they aren't,
Did the owner pay you?
I just buy the material for $400 and
Still a hole there.
and still nothing. And
paid for the material, and the
Yeah.
homeowner still hasn't paid you?
no.
Whoa, what a deal, huh?
This
And
just keeps getting
all
better.
jobs then for $500, you know, and I buy just for the works. I buy the material for the 400, 395 just material cost. And I think.
Well, I happen to agree with my colleague to my right that it is a gray area, so I'd like to make a motion to drop that part of the citation if possible.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. So the motion is to uphold or withhold, uphold the uninsured contracting part and to let the building without a permit drop.
Correct. That's my motion.
All in favor? Aye. Is anyone opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Okay.
So basically, we cut it in half, and I'm not sure about where you have to pay or when you have to pay, but
It's 30
sure
days from the
Officer
time the
Chigi-
written order is issued at the building department.
Okay,
And how much to pay?
$500
Okay. And where?
at the county administration building at the building department.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
No good deed goes unpunished.
Tell me about it.
You didn't even pay him.
Place a couple of planks, you know.
All right, move on to 15-CE-6009, First Choice Healthcare LLC.
Excuse me, case 15 CE 6009 742T. First Choice Healthcare is my case.
Can I interrupt you just a second? Dr. Neil Abernett, okay, why don't you come on up? If you just go to the podium, that way we...
Thank you.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
This is a citation that was written some time ago. It was found in compliance for part of it. The other part carried forward. You guys found him in violation. He ordered a $50 citation to be paid, $50 cost of prosecution, and a $50 per day penalty. Since that time, he has complied with the total of the order, but he has accrued $5,300 worth of penalties. He is here, I'm here to tell you that he is now in compliance. He is here to request a reduction.
Actually, I'm here to request a dismissal of the fine entirely. I'd like to address the board if I can.
Sherry, did you get his name and everything for? Sorry. to
Yeah,
interrupt.
if you would, just state your name for the record, please.
Neil Barmanel. Thank you. Nice to meet you all. I just want to say this is kind of a bizarre story entirely. I never thought I'd be up here in front of a board in my line of work. But, you know, there's always a silver lining to every cloud. And I just want to say, in this case, I got to meet David Curry, I got to meet Lieutenant Cook, and I got to meet the mayor, Jay Kramer. And they all got involved helping me out and giving me advice and telling me what I needed to do. And I probably would have never gotten to meet these people if not for this. And they're all upstanding guys, and it was a pleasure meeting them all. So that's something good that came of this. And I just wanted to say that for the record. What can I tell you guys? I'm a doctor. I bought an abandoned property here in Vero Beach about 1.5 years ago and decided that I wanted to make it into a neighborhood family practice clinic. And I've been pretty much doing it on my own over the last 1.5 years, and it's open for business now. When I bought this, actually been open for business for I'm going to say about 3 months. It took me about that long working on my weekends, fixing up the building. I have an account at Home Depot. They think I'm a contractor there. I'm there so much buying stuff. But in any length, when I bought this property, I've never had my own business. I've always been a hospital-based doctor. So I've never had to deal with businesses and business aspects. When I bought this place, right away I started getting issues with code enforcement. And you know, I'm not trying to make excuses, but I'm a busy guy. I'm a doctor. I do trauma and critical care and emergency medicine, and I work all over the United States. And I'm not here very often. Frequently I'm out of town. Sometimes I work in Seattle. Sometimes I'm working in Pennsylvania, in Philadelphia, and code enforcement would send me things in the mail, and boy, I got to tell you, they're terrifying when you get these things, especially if you're not in business. I've never gotten anything like that in my life. You know, you get a thing saying your lawn is this long, you're going to get a fine. It's absolutely horrifying, just to tell you all that. And I called code enforcement, and I got to say, I'm not the most pleasant guy in the world. I'm a trauma doctor. You know, you get me ired, and you get the wrong side of me. But I had plenty of conversations with code enforcement, and despite whether I thought I was in the right or the wrong, I want you to know I always complied with what was asked of me. If they said someone complained your lawn was long, someone complained about a car in your parking lot, someone complained about this, I always complied with it. I hired a lawn service. I fired the lawn service. They didn't keep up. Hired another lawn service. They said, you need a tag on your car. I put a tag on the car. Anything that they asked me to do, I did. And because I'm not in town, I even went to code enforcement, and I gave them my home phone, my cell phone, my pager, my email. And I said, if there's ever any code enforcement issues with this property, you call me right away, and I will handle it, regardless of where I am in the country, because I don't want any issues with code enforcement on this building. Because without getting too into detail, I almost feel like my building's been harassed by someone in the community. I brought tons of photos here today to show you all. I'm not going to show you all these pictures. My building's at the corner of 20th Avenue and 19th Street, okay? It's not the greatest neighborhood in Vero Beach. You could walk that neighborhood, and I did walk that neighborhood. Dozens of lawns longer than mine. Dozens of buildings look like hell. And I actually went to these people, and I knocked on their doors, and I spoke to these people. And none of them have code enforcement calling them. Okay, no one. Just my building. And I really don't know why someone has singled me out to the point of calling code enforcement on me repeatedly. I mean, repeatedly since I bought this property. And this building's open. I'm in business. I fixed it up. I think it's beautiful. Now, it's not the Taj Mahal, but when I bought this building, there were homeless people hanging out there. There were people dealing drugs in the parking lot, okay? I've been robbed 4 times. 4 times I've been broken into and robbed in this place, okay? And I still managed to fix this place up. I've lost a fortune on this project, but I've still done it, and I'm open for business. Now, I was out of town, and I guess that while I was out of town, I got served with a code enforcement paper. And I come home, and there's probably, I'm not exaggerating, 100 pieces of mail for me. I never saw anything. I come back, and I saw that there was a notice of hearing on my business for a lawn violation and tags being off on my car, being outdated on my car, which amazed me because all my cars have 2-year tags. And I was like, how's that possible? I think when my wife bought the tags for the cars, she bought a 1-year tag for that car. So at any length, I was really just furious when I saw this come into me, because I was like, why didn't they even tell me about these violations? Now there's a hearing on this business, and we're just about to open up. So I called the city, and I found out that the police department runs code enforcement now, which was just absolutely great. Because I want to say I met the chief of police, I talked to a lieutenant, and they actually came out to my place and looked at everything. And they looked at the car, and they looked at the lawn, and I talked to the gardening service. I said, because when I got into town, I looked at it, and the lawn looked perfect to me. I mean, it looked great. And I called him, I said, what happened? He said, well, there was a tropical hurricane coming through, and I wasn't able to mow the lawn for 2 weeks because it was raining every day. That's all he told me. I don't know, I wasn't there, I didn't see it, but it looked good to me when I got there. The police took a look at the car. They looked at it. They said, Doc, get tags on the car. Get the sticker for the car. Literally, right after I spoke to them that afternoon, I went down to the DMV, or the tax collector's office, and I got a sticker for the car. And I put the sticker on the license plate, and I took a picture of it. And I came in to the meeting that was scheduled to be here. And I was supposed to, I'm pretty sure I was supposed to be in Philadelphia that day working, but I was here. And I showed up, and I came here, and I was told that there was no issue with me anymore, and I took that as to infer that I was in compliance, and to go home. And I actually wanted to address you all that day, but I was told that I couldn't because there was no issue with me anymore. So I left. And the reason I really wanted to address you then was because I really feel that my business has been targeted by an individual in my neighborhood, and he's calling repeatedly about the most mundane things, and it's at the point of ridiculousness. I mean, I just want to back up on a tangent. Before I became a doctor, believe it or not, I was a firefighter, okay? I would go into some big burning buildings. I was a firefighter in metropolitan Chicago. And you go into a building where you can't even get down a hallway to get people out of a building. There's electrical wiring hanging. These buildings are a mess. That's code enforcement issues. That's the type of thing that you drag someone in and find them $5,000 for. Not a guy who has a lawn that needs to be mowed on an abandoned building that he's redoing in a crime-infested part of the city. Just ridiculousness. So that's what I wanted to talk about. But at any length, I didn't get to speak. The month of December came, and I worked out of town, worked out of state, and was gone. And I came back into town for about a week, and then my wife and I left town because we went to visit my in-laws out of town for the remainder of the holidays. And I came back, and when I came back, apparently there was another hearing on December 10th about my office, which I didn't even know about. And I guess at that hearing, they fined me, because apparently they said that the tire pressure, or the car had a flat tire, which I was not aware that was even an issue. So I called AAA. Actually, I didn't. I went to see the mayor at that point. I said, what is going on here? Where is this ending at this point? And I called AAA. The mayor came to my office. He looked at everything. And he said, boy, your office looks great. He says, he said, look, just put some air in the tire. And I just want to say, these tires were low. They were not flat. But at any length, I called AAA. They came out with a truck. They pumped some air in the tires. Tires held. Done. And that's the story of why we're here today. I guess the main thing that I want to emphasize is I've been very cooperative with code enforcement on these issues. I think I've been subject to more code enforcement complaints on a business than most people would be. And I know that because I've gone around to businesses and said, look, your lawn is horrible out there on the street. Is code enforcement calling you? And they say no. And I've been told who the individual is who's been turning me in. I don't want to say names. I've been told this is like a community activist guy who, for whatever reason, has issues with my office. But it's sad when people use political knowledge and knowledge of the system and how to do things to hurt people for whatever reason that they want. This is a opening office. I'm looking at a $5,000 fine for having low air in a tire in a car. When everything that I've been cited for through a year and a half, I fixed immediately. I've given code enforcement multiple ways to contact me because I know that I'm being targeted by someone. And still I'm here today. And that's about it. If I had an opportunity to speak at the meeting when I was here, I think it was in September, or October, or November, hopefully someone would have said to me, Doc, you need to put air in the tire too. And I would have gone out and put air in the tire. Everything that I've been asked to do, I've done. But I guess the main things that I want today is, number one, I want dismissal of this. And number two, I want the code enforcement board to understand that, and I'm not trying to sound paranoid, but I feel that there's someone in the community who, for whatever reason, is turning in way too many complaints to my business. If this person's a community activist, they should be coming to me and saying, Doc, thank you for fixing this abandoned property up, making it into a functional medical office in our community, providing primary care. It's a real medical office. I'm not a pill mill doctor, or a pain management guy. I'm a real doctor providing real medical care. And I've gone through hell putting that business in there. I've had windows broken out. I've had my screen stolen. I've had 2 brand new AC units stolen. I got in a fist fight in my parking lot with a guy dealing dope in my parking lot. Came back that night and he dumped cans of paint all over my parking lot, vandalized my parking lot. Still can't get the paint off. This is what I've had to deal with. But I cleaned it up and it's a functional medical office now. And instead of this guy coming to me and just saying, Doc, I hear you're new in the neighborhood and you're opening up a medical office. How can we help you? Instead, this is the response that I got from this individual, and I'm just tired of it. That's it.
Doctor, could you clarify two things for me?
Yes.
It's a little over a 3-month period that this $5,100 has accumulated.
Yeah.
Was that between September and December?
Apparently, it was between September and December.
Okay. And the second question, it says inoperable vehicle. Does that mean it had a flat tire or it doesn't run?
I think, no, the car starts. I think that's because the tire was low on air in the tire.
Thank you.
Is that a violation to have a low tire?
You have to have an operable vehicle, and it wasn't one low tire. It was multiple tires, and it wasn't low. They were flat.
Flat versus low.
And the tag makes it inoperable as well.
Yeah.
You can't drive a tag a vehicle without a registration or tag.
Without interrupting, but I will, I have photos of the tires before I put air in them, and they weren't flat. They were low. I could have driven it with that. They were low, and I'm sure you have photos too, but I have photos of all 4 tires. And that's the first thing. And the second thing is it was just a registration. The car had a license plate. And I'll just back up on this, about this car, okay? The reason this car is there, I'll just tell you this part of the story. After the 3rd robbery, in which someone came 48 hours after I bought 2 brand new industrial air conditioners and stole them, literally right off the side of the building, I got tired of being robbed. So I took this car and I put it on my property, okay? So that thieves might think there's someone in the building, okay? This car is in a carport on a parking lot, way off the street. You can't even see this car from the street, okay? How this individual is calling code enforcement on this car, I cannot figure out. I mean, you don't even know there's a car there unless you're prowling or snooping or hanging around back there. This car was my first car that I ever bought, so it has sentimental value to me. That's why I still keep this car around. I have 540,000 miles on this car, and it has the original clutch. Okay?
Wow.
My wife comes to me and says, I want you to get rid of that car. But my plan is, if I ever get enough money, I'm going to fix this car up and do car shows with it. It's considered a classic car now. It's so old.
What year? What model?
It's an Acura Legend, and it's an 82, 83. And at any length, when I didn't even have this car insured, okay, when I had this car sitting at my house. I wasn't even driving the car anymore. It was just an old car that I was working on, and I was getting rust out of it and working on it. And I took it over to my building, put it in the carport. When code enforcement first came to me, they said, you have to have a sticker on this car. And I went over to get a sticker on this car, and I couldn't get a sticker on it because they said you have to have license plates and everything. And in order to get license plates, I had to get it insured. Okay? So I have a 540,000 mile rusted out 25-year-old car that, in order to be in compliance with code enforcement, okay, I'm insuring this car now, and I have license plates and tags on it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have any of that. It would just be sitting in the carport there quietly, minding its own business, and I would be there with some sandpaper and some Bondo on the weekend, working on it a little bit. And it's amazing that it's gotten to this point.
Okay. May I ask a couple of questions?
Sure.
You don't have to answer them. How much did the stolen air conditioners cost you?
Somewhere around $10,000. And for what it's worth, I didn't make any money off of this deal, okay? My insurance on all these robberies didn't pay me a dime, okay? Because I wasn't officially open for business yet, and I didn't have the right type of policy. Okay. So they didn't even cover it. And I had to finance those units. And now I have 2 new ACs in there, okay? Thank God I have the right insurance policy now. So every month I make a check out for the new ones and the ones that were stolen.
Okay.
Well, I remember you being here before and trying to speak, and for some reason you weren't allowed, or you were advised not to, we'll put it that way. So I think you did make an effort to come and appeal within the appeal time frame. Normally, if you don't show up for the hearing, then you're deemed guilty because you didn't show up. But I think we can overlook that.
Well, Mr. Chairman, the board did previously enter an order finding the violations and imposing the continuing penalty. And I think what the officer now is saying is violations have been corrected.
They have been corrected, and I'd like to also address some of the concerns that Dr. Arbonell's raised as well.
Sure.
First of all, we'll start with the vehicle. As you have pictures, so do I. Mine clearly show it, to my opinion, to be flat, not low. The vehicle is not an 82, it's 94.
94. I don't remember. It's a long time.
There have been a total of 9 cases at this property. He is right.
Could you repeat that again?
There has been a total of 9 previous cases at this property. Most all of them have to do with overgrowth. 2 of them have to do with an inoperable or expired tag. The same one that we're talking about the year prior, he was cited for as well. He did get it after the fact and late, and we did rescind the citation at that time. So it's a year later, we're at the same problem again. I do agree with him that there are a lot of complaints at his property, but I think that if you were to look at code enforcement, you would see that commercial properties tend to get more violations called on them than residential properties. And I think that may have been why you're getting more. I don't know. I can't speak to the person making the complaint. I can only react to the complaint. As far as the overgrowth, again, every time I've cited, I've taken pictures, and it has been overgrown. I understand you and I have spoke on several occasions. I recommended to you, and you did, that you set up the program on a normal maintenance program so we wouldn't keep running into this. But every month or 2 or 3 or whatever it is, it falls back out of compliance, and we start the process again. Yes, you have complied every time. It's not always been within the time limits that were set up by the city to have things done, but you did in fact comply. I'm not sure what in the way of reduction you guys, normally I'm allowed to offer my recommendation, and my recommendation would only be that it is up to you. But though he is doing a good thing, and I do believe that, it has not been without a lot of problems along the way, and a lot of repeat problems. And I do agree with him. It is overwhelming to get cited so many times. However, had your property been mowed, you never would have heard from me. I never would have heard from the complainant, and if I did and went out there and it was mowed, I'd have just kept on driving. To say that you've had 9 different instances, I also pulled the police reports during the same time frame, and there was 16 calls for service from the police department. I would submit to you that having the vehicle on there, though I would agree in some cases it would be a hindrance to crime, having a vehicle with 4 flat tires might be an attractant to somebody knowing that there's not somebody there. The home that is also on the property to this date is unsecure.
Could you repeat that?
There's a home on the property as well.
Okay.
It shares a parking lot.
Okay.
That he owns as well. And it's hurting. I mean,
is it occupied?
It needs to go.
Is it occupied?
No, and to make a statement about the home, when I bought that property, my first plan with that house was to rip the house down and get it out of there. There's an old home in the backyard of this property, and I hired multiple companies to come and tear it down. And first off, the prices they wanted were unbelievable. But secondly, when finally they went in there to tear it down, they couldn't. Okay, because that house sitting there in that neighborhood was just infiltrated with asbestos. Every inch of it was full of asbestos. Okay, so no one would even touch it. So I had to go at an astronomical expense. Okay, it almost closed down my office, and I had to hire a crew to come up from Miami with hazmat suits, and they had to go through every inch of that house and suck asbestos out for a week. Okay. After you spend that much money on a project to get rid of the asbestos, you don't want to tear it down at that point. I'm into that thing for a fortune, okay? So what I'm doing at this point is trying to get bids on someone to fix the property and see if I can't repair the property. I contacted, and I'm going to tell you what I went through with this property when I got it, okay? I contacted the fire department. I asked them if they wanted to use it for training and then to burn it down. I contacted the police. I said, you want to use it for SWAT training? Shoot the thing up, take it, then when you're done with it, just tear it down for me, okay? When the neighborhood was declared a historic district, I went to the county and asked them if I could get matching funds to fix the building up as a historic building, and they denied it, okay? I've spent a fortune getting asbestos out of that thing. To tear it down at this point is almost almost ridiculous. But that's where it may end up being.
I have a repeat question, and you don't have to answer it. How much did it cost you to remove the asbestos?
About $10,000.
Thank you.
Yeah, on a shack, on an abandoned shack, which is essentially what it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got a question. This says it's 105 days. Was he in violation all 105 days?
Again, it was a multi-part citation. He complied with a certain part up to a certain point, but it was 105 days until every issue was satisfied on that citation. The last one was the tires, and as he said, he spoke to, I believe, the chief, requested that I go out and re-inspect it, and I did. And I looked at it and I thought, something's not right here. I looked a little closer. 3 tires were filled. One was up on blocks of wood and appeared to be filled, but it was being held up by wood. Okay. I called the chief, said, this is what I found. He called, I guess, Dr. Barbanel, and he then since replaced the tire. That's when the case was complied.
So that was January 10?
Correct.
Okay.
I just want to throw out my thoughts at this moment. I think the man has put a lot of money and time and effort. I think he has improved the area. I think there has been bad communications for whatever reason, which has harmed this whole situation, and which, had he been here, probably would have been corrected. So I think we have to show a little bit of leniency on that end. However, I will agree with Mr. Ramsey. The car should be cited, okay? But if we have improved the neighborhood, the man has put that much money in, he's a doctor serving our residents, I think we have to give him a little bit of a tip of a hat and a little bit of a wink and a nod and say, go in peace and continue what you're doing. That's my opinion.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
One other question. I'm sorry.
I have a question. What are the 16 calls to the police department?
They vary. I was just making a point that it is something, it's a property that even before him, as he has said, it's a continual problem. It's gotten better, and I would say it's gotten better as a result of your work. I'll confer with that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I mean, here's examples that I'll give you, okay? I was doing some work in Philadelphia about a month ago, and my neighbors now there are really great neighbors, okay? They know me, I know them now. They look after my place when I'm not there. They called me, they said, there's a car in your parking lot. This was at like 2 o'clock in the morning. I called the police, 2 o'clock in the morning. I made 2 phone calls to the police came down there, they threw these guys out of the parking lot. That's how you do it. So that's 2 calls to the police right there. And I called them from out of state, and I'll tell you, the police officer even called me back on my cell phone at like I think it was like 3 in the morning to tell me that they had been out there, they had got these guys out of my lot. Other calls were made because someone broke a window out. Other calls were made because my ACs got stolen. Someone came and they stole the sewer cover in my parking lot. Okay, I had 32 screens. I have 32 windows on the building. I want to say 32. I'm not good with numbers. Like I said, I couldn't remember the year of the car, but I've had the car forever. Someone came in the middle of the night, stole all my window screens. Okay, now, you know what, it sounds like nothing, but it adds up. That's like $600-700. And you know what, none of the windows have screens on them now, because I had to make a decision. Was I going to buy an EKG machine for the office, or was I going to fix the screens? That's how it happens.
Well, what was the, for the overgrowth, how long was that out of compliance?
1 second. I didn't bring all my documentation because I thought we were just doing the request for reduction, but I do have it.
May I jump in while you're looking at that? Doctor, during the time that you were in violation for the grass, were you paying someone to cut it the whole time?
Initially, when I bought the building, I didn't even know about code enforcement and that you had to have grass to a certain length and stuff like that. I never even knew about that. Like I say, I never had a business before. And when I first got the calls, initially, no, I didn't. But I did hire someone, and the guy that I hired, I was kind of paying him in absentia. I would pay him $100 a month in the mail because I couldn't get there all the time. And it ended up being that I guess he was taking the $100 and not cutting the lawn. So he was relieved of duty, and I hired a new guy. And the new guy is doing a really good job. I'm very happy with the work he does. He's an old guy. He comes regularly. He cuts it. Whenever I'm there, it looks okay to me. If I go there and it looks a little bit long to me, I phone him and I say, hey, you need to get over there and mow it. And he shows up usually the next morning and does it. I've had no problems with him.
But you have had someone, except in the beginning, you have been paying someone to do this?
Correct.
Okay.
Well, shall I repeat my thoughts again?
Wait, let's hear.
I'm sorry.
Answer your question was 9/18. It was, within 9 days of the first citation.
In the board back on December 9th, you did find that the weeds, grass, undergrowth had been corrected and that the license registration problem had been corrected. The only thing that remained open was flat tires on the car, so it was inoperable. And you also found the civil penalty of $50 had not been paid from the citation, and there was enforcement costs, I think, of $50. Was that right?
Correct.
Yeah.
I'd like to ask Officer Ramsey a question. He's asserting that he's being targeted by somebody. Would you support that? You feel that somebody's been harassing him using
This particular
the
person,
system?
I would say, is not harassing him, only in so much as he harasses everybody.
The degree of
He does have a lot of cases.
So he's not being targeted.
Again, I've only cited when I found a violation after there's been a complaint. There has been other complaints, some that you're not even aware of, Doctor. When you had the wood stacked on the side of your property, there was a complaint made. Instead of going through the trouble of paperwork, I loaded up my van, hauled it to the dump. Done that 2 times. So I don't know the answer to that question. The gentleman who he's referencing does make a lot of complaints.
Okay.
I got a question. How do you know when a car is operable? I've had a car 2 doors down from me that has been there for 10 years and never been started.
Operable does not necessarily mean running. Operable means the ability to be roadworthy. If it's not tagged, his was not expired.
It's
not
got dealer
roadworthy.
tags on it.
It had 4 flat tires on it. It's not going on the road. I don't know about yours. Yours, we have had a case sometime in the past,
Yeah, I know.
recall.
But
Okay, I would like to reiterate my earlier statement.
Mr. Pizzicello, could you put a dollar amount on the wink and the nod?
It was 2 winks and 2 nods, actually.
Well, both.
I believe he's definitely guilty of having an inoperable vehicle, and he should be fined for that. However, considering the improvement of the neighborhood, the amount of money he has put into it, and the amount of crime that the man has been subject to, that should be, and most importantly, the poor communication for whatever reason should be taken into account. And in my opinion, I have to side with the gentleman.
I would suggest
Well, now, don't forget that because he waived a hearing initially on the citation, did not request a hearing on the citation.
Well, he was here trying to. I'll give him credit for that.
He was. I pulled the minutes as well.
And he tried.
But no, that's not the point. You have 10 days from the time you get a citation to request a hearing. If you don't, you've waived the hearing and admitted the violations. So based on that, the board previously entered your order finding that there were violations. The main question you have now is how much?
Right.
I have a
And
question.
you do have to impose the $50 civil,
Yeah,
the
I would
$50
suggest-
costs because the city is entitled to recover that.
I think that should be the extent of it, too.
So we have leeway in the amount of funds?
Yes.
Yeah. To make a point, the reason that I did not turn in a written appeal of this within the 10 days was because when I showed up at the meeting, I was told that there was not an issue with me. And so I left.
But the time had run by then.
That was kind of poorly stated, probably. There was an issue, obviously.
Yeah.
But it was too early for you to deal with it.
See, the only reason, well, I'll say again, that's upsetting is because no matter how unfair I've thought that a lot of this stuff has been that's gone on with this property, I comply with everything. I was at that meeting that day from Philadelphia to be here for this meeting. And if they had come to me that day and said, look, you need to fix this and this on this car, it would have been done that afternoon, immediately. End of story. I mean, I didn't start a business to be a community scoundrel and flagrantly violating code violations. Everything that's been brought to me, and a lot of it I thought has been really, really harassment, not by the code enforcement, not by the code board, but by individuals in the community.
That's the way most of these cases that we see are complaint generated.
Right.
It's if you upset your neighbors for whatever reason, then it's their good right, if there's something wrong on your property, to complain about it.
And I will also say that the reason I pulled the case from that hearing that he did show up to was because his citation was returned to me unsigned, the certified mail. So as far as I knew at that point, he didn't even know about it. So I pulled the case.
Okay. Well,
And that was in December?
I'd like to make a motion if...
No, that was in October.
October?
Yeah.
And as
Citation was issued
we didn't
back in
meet in
September.
November.
And as I look at the minutes
50 and
from
50
that
and that's it?
hearing,
Let's do it.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that there was a violation and that now everything is in compliance. Hopefully it'll stay that way.
Yep.
And that the board issue an order for payment of the original $50 civil penalty and the $50 cost of prosecution.
I second that.
Second, yeah.
All in favor? Aye. Is anyone opposed?
Yeah, I'm opposed still, and I don't want to be argumentative.
You actually don't get a vote, though.
Don't be argumentative. It might go against you.
It's a gift.
Just got
I want to tell you that there's nothing better that makes someone feel better than bringing something back to life and creating something that's good for the community. And I appreciate you sticking through it all.
Thank you.
And getting it done.
Thank you.
The 50 and 50 equals $100.
just got a $5,150
Yes.
discount.
I think,
Appreciate it.
you know, that you do. You're going to be a help to the community. That's my 2 cents, and I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks very much.
Goodbye.
All righty. Ma'am, are you here for a case?
I am. I have the report. It's 2016 CE 6019.
I think that's their next case anyways.
Oh, okay.
ARLP.
Then you're in luck. All right, 15-CE-6019, ARLP Trust.
For the board today, the violator ARLP Trust CO Aquin Loan Servicing is before the board in December of 2015. The board found the violation existed and issued an order for the civil penalty and continuing penalties. On January 29th, 2016, while in the area doing inspections, it was observed that this property is now in compliance, and so it's before the board today to find the violation has been corrected and stop the penalties.
Thank you. Would you like to speak?
I'm sorry, what was the correction date?
29th.
1/28/16.
Oh,
Thanks.
Good afternoon. My name is Megan Kenefick. I'm an attorney at Baker Donaldson, and I represent the investor, ARLP, which is the now owner of the property since certificate of title passed in August of 2015. I just wanted to concur, and I was here before the council members to inform the board that my client has complied and has brought the property into compliance and cleaned up the lot. My understanding is that there was significant amount of yard debris left from a previous vendor. I understand that my client was notified of this. My understanding is from the citation that a vendor, Good Choice, was notified of the violation. A lot of internal investigation was done by my client trying to verify the hiring of Good Choice. That could not be confirmed, hence why there was such a delay in actually having compliance and going back out to the property and getting the property yard debris cleaned up. Now that the council members are aware that the property is in compliance, I am here before the board in order to ask for a lien reduction. I don't know if we would have to formally do that or if we can informally do that.
You haven't entered a final order, is that right, Sherry? It was just an order finding violation and imposing continuing penalty. So it'd be up to you, similar to the last case, to find correction and set the total amount of the penalties and costs.
I believe the order was entered on December 29th.
Yes, the board order was recorded, and so we would have costs on that.
Okay. Oh, okay.
In your backup, you have the days that the property was not in compliance. You also have what the total of the penalties would be without the cost of recording and attorney's fees. It's included in your backup that was sent.
It's a $5,300.
Right, that was $5,350, not including the recording fees or the city attorney fees.
Was there cost of enforcement?
No. No, that was the last case. It states on the order that the city has not requested costs at this time.
Okay, so you must not have requested them.
Correct.
Okay.
Just for clarification, usually when a property is vacant, they post on it who the vendor is, on who to contact, and that was why Good Choice was originally contacted based on their posting on the window if there was any problems, to notify them, and gave their phone number. And it started with a phone call to them asking them to correct.
And that was somehow an old sign or something, or? They were the wrong people anyway to.
They were the people that were maintaining it at one point.
Okay.
Correct. An investigation that my client performed, they could not find any records of Good Choice while my client was maintaining the property, of that being a particular vendor. And that's why there was such a long delay in trying to get the property in compliance.
Do you have any questions or anything to add, or recommendation, or? All right.
The other costs that would be, the other costs for recording the initial order and then doing a release of lien upon payment is right at $97 costs that the city would want to recover.
Could I have a repeat of all of the total numbers on the table at this moment?
5350, right?
Yeah. 50?
According to the documentation prepared by the clerk, civil penalty of $50 with a continuing penalty of $50 a day commenced October 15, 2015, and ended January 28, 2016. 106 days at $50 a day, totaling $5,300, with the initial civil penalty, total penalty, $5,350. My understanding from Attorney Commit, cost of recording and fees, $97.
The question is, now this property at one time was under a different ownership.
Correct.
When exactly did your client take control of this property?
Certificate of title was June 22nd, 2015. Sorry, didn't know if you had that.
Say that again?
What was that?
June 22nd.
What year?
15.
Okay.
So this was tree trimming and cuttings were left on the property all this time?
Correct.
Do you have a photograph of this horrendous pile?
You know, when that tree was cut and all of it.
Madam Attorney?
Yes.
In your opinion, was there a communication failure, or what caused this long delay in correcting the situation?
My understanding is that upon that initial citation, which I believe was in September of 2015, there was an internal investigation as to the information as to Good Choice. Also, there being an issue with a vendor a hired vendor actually not doing what they were supposed to do. In other words, my client hiring a vendor to go out and clean the lot and to do yard work, and then that vendor not complying and removing the yard work.
And where does the owner live? Your client?
Our client is the actual trust. So this trust is, I think, located...
Well, the question is, the owner, I mean, did he live next door to the property in question or a mile away, 2 miles? I mean, why wasn't this thing eyeballed and corrected sooner?
Trust.
Yeah, it's a corporation that owns the property. It is managed by a loan servicer, Aquin Loan Servicing. Aquin Loan Servicing is located in, they have offices all over the southeast, I believe, but their main office is in Palm Springs, I believe, or...
But aren't they supposed to maintain properties along the line?
Yes, and my understanding is, once this property, that they did have somebody go out and maintain the property, but there was some internal issue as to the investigation as to which vendor actually went out to the property and did not comply and actually removed the yard debris. My particular firm was hired in December after the initial hearing that was held on December 9th. And once my firm was hired, we kept on top of the property preservation company, and the property preservation confirmed that they did send somebody out in January in order to comply and removed all the debris.
And now, to the best of your knowledge, is someone looking after this on a regular basis?
Correct. This property is now REO, so at this point, once this issue is taken care of as far as the fine, the property is going to go, the flag is going to be lowered, and the property will now go to sale, and hopefully, a private individual will go ahead and buy the property and take care of the property from that point forward.
Okay.
Is it a residential building lot?
It is. It is. It's a home, residential home, yes.
From the picture isn't exactly clear, but it looks like a couple branches. Is that correct?
I personally, from what I received from the client, it looked like it was a number of palm fronds and things like that I guess were left at the property once they were cut down, and for whatever
were they cut down or did they fall down? Because I have them in my yard every morning.
Yeah, I don't know. that my client doesn't know. Like I said, when they received the initial citation, there was some confusion as to the good choice contracting and vendor.
Were they actually responsible for the work?
That my client was never able to confirm because of the fact that they could not find good choice as a vendor for that.
But your client did contract with someone to do yard work, is that correct?
Correct.
But they don't know who it was?
They do know who it was, but it was not good choice, and it was not on that particular date.
So did the person who they know who it is actually clean it up?
I'm not too sure if it was that particular individual or if it was another individual that ultimately went out in January and took care of it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Is the home occupied?
No.
The home is vacant, yes.
It's vacant.
Yeah, it's REO, a real estate-owned property.
Yeah, I think it's just gotten caught up in the whole corporate maintenance.
I agree.
So the quicker we resolve it, the quicker you can sell it, right?
Correct. As soon as we get this, like I said, this fine taken care of and the flag lowered, then they can go ahead and move forward to selling the property.
Any more discussion? Does anybody else want to make a motion?
Let's assume that the $5,300 stands. Does your client have recourse against the person who was supposed to have cleaned this?
My understanding is that they do have vendor contracts, so whether that means that that particular vendor doesn't receive any more work, or whether there's any kind of monetary, I don't know exactly, but I'm sure that they would not receive any further work.
$5,300 at tree work's a lot of work.
Yes, sure is. Yeah, especially, I believe the initial final judgment was only, it's still a lot of money, but $111,000 or something like that was the final judgment. So it's not, a huge, high-value property.
In your opinion, with this particular problem, how much of it might have been the previous owner's responsibility?
That I don't really know because...
I'd like to address that.
I'm sorry.
No, when you're done, I'd like to address that.
I do know that there was a previous case in 2012 that against the previous homeowner. To the extent of what happened with that, I don't know. I know that particular lien was included in the final judgment, and therefore that was, wiped out with the final judgment.
Did your client obtain it through a mortgage foreclosure?
Correct. It was a 2014 mortgage foreclosure action.
The debris that was left on site and cited was nothing to do with the prior owner. It was cut at one point when the neighbor made the complaint. After it was cut, that was when this case was initiated, and the property had been vacant for many.
So the prior owner has zero culpability in this whole affair?
That's my thought.
Okay, thank you.
Well, it seems to me that the problem's been resolved. I'll make a motion. There was a violation, and the property is now in compliance, and that the board issue an order for payment of the $97 release of lien. What do I call that?
Just recording costs and lien
okay.
Recording
costs and release of lien costs. And was the $50 cost of prosecution or civil?
No, that was a civil penalty on the citation, I believe. Yes.
And the $50 civil penalty.
I'll second.
Moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Is anyone opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, get some people in there. Is that it? All right. 15-CE-6011, Bayview Loan Servicing. Is that you, Tom? Oh.
This case is back before the board to find the properties in compliance as of 2/19/16.
So the clerk has on the back of your packet the initial civil penalty of $50 and total of $6,700 in continuing penalties have accrued.
Plus recording fees and attorney fees.
Right, that would be just a generic, we add that to the order.
You guys have that? We don't have to do that, right?
Yeah, you don't have to calculate that.
Okay. Motion? Anyone?
It's not in compliance.
It's not in compliance.
The property is in compliance.
Oh, sorry.
That's
Yes,
now
it is.
before the board.
Yeah, I thought she had said it was
Sorry.
corrected.
I was listening to the
Compliance
attorney.
February 19th.
So we need a motion saying that the fines, that it's in compliance, the fines need to stop, and setting the final fine.
I went through this whole thing, but...
Well, it's $6,700 is what is...
Plus the initial $50 plus
Plus costs.
costs of recording and releases of
Let's say
lien when it's paid.
97?
No.
No.
No, it can vary.
Yeah, if you'll include in your motion plus costs, and we'll add it up.
Is this property empty, vacated?
Correct.
Yeah, there's no one living there. So will this come to us again?
Maybe.
In 3 months with the same kind of problems with the overgrowth or undergrowth?
The servicer has provided that the debris left on site, in addition to debris they left, that has been added by the neighbors, and they cleaned it up. So from here on, they will take their debris. Any debris left on site will most likely not be from them.
If it's not from them, then what happens?
So the neighbors are dumping
The
their stuff
neighbors.
and complaining about it.
As they pointed out, there's parts of the picket fence, there's leaves. Neighbors have added to the pile since the contractor left the pile.
They don't bring it to the road because they pick it up every week.
There's nobody living there. Well,
terrible.
there's no one living in the house, and he's not paying, or he's not paying
Okay.
utilities, so he doesn't have pickup. The neighbors probably would get rid of their stuff.
We have one next to us.
The neighbors do.
They get rid of their stuff on their property.
You put it on the property next door.
There's picket fence and a pile of landscape debris that didn't come from the property on which it was.
Oh, wow.
But they take possession.
Which is explained to the bank. If they maintain it, then the neighbors might be inclined not to use it as a dumping ground.
Hopefully. I'll make a motion then that, can I borrow your cheat sheet? That there was a violation and the violation is now, or the property is now in compliance. And the board issue an order for payment of the initial civil penalty of $50 and the $50 a day penalty through February 18th of this year, plus costs.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor? Aye. Is anyone opposed? Motion carries. 16-CE-6393, Edward Fielkowski.
Mr. Fialkowski was cited as a repeat violator for a stagnant swimming pool at 703 Holly Road. Citation was issued 2/4/15 by posting of the property. No request for a hearing on the citation has been received, so a hearing to contest the citation has been waived and the violation is deemed admitted by the violator. The violation has not been corrected as of 3/8/16, and the civil penalty assessed on the citation has not been paid. Not asking for enforcement costs, just asking the board to find that the violation is continuing.
I will make a motion in that regard because we cannot allow stagnant swimming pools because of the effects of health upon human beings and others. So I'm going to make a motion right off the bat and get this thing going.
Yeah, that would be in order to correct and imposing the continuing penalties.
That would be in order to correct and continuing penalties.
And the civil penalties.
Is this pool
And the civil
fenced
penalties.
or screened?
Screened.
I'll second that.
Is this a residence, is this man living there now?
Correct.
Really?
Is there a backstory here? Has he got
I've never
any
heard from him.
problems?
We got a motion?
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
May I speak on the motion?
Oh, okay.
Is it possible to have maybe a policeman go over there and knock on the door and explain? I don't know how old this gentleman is. I don't know if he's with it or without, and explain to him the seriousness of this thing, and maybe, I don't know, maybe he doesn't read and write English. I have no idea. I know he's guilty, but I think we have to do a little better communication, if possible. I don't know if it's allowed within the rules, but I throw it out.
It seems strange if he's living in the house and he isn't responding, that perhaps a knock on the door.
He has been cited for the swimming pool before, and we had the same problem. He never dialogues with us. Property is posted.
Well, again, I have my motion to find him guilty, but I would love to see the city go over and knock on the door and just talk to the man.
Well, she said this is a second violation of the same thing.
I understand.
And he knew before, and he just let it go again, right?
Correct.
Has anybody ever seen him?
He used to own a business downtown.
He used to or does?
Yes.
Or does?
He used to own a business. The business has since been sold.
Okay, but has anybody seen him?
I haven't.
Okay, the reason I ask is because just down the street from me, they found somebody dead after 4 days because nobody found. So hopefully he's
Vehicles come
still.
and go from the property.
Okay, so there is.
Well, we have a motion and a second.
I think we passed it.
Did we?
Yeah.
Okay.
You have a motion and a second, but you didn't take the vote.
Take the vote.
Oh, no, we did.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Getting ahead of ourselves. It's late. I think so. Yeah. Forgive us.
We're doing good, though.
Well, the next one's the same guy.
Wait a minute. Oh, yeah.
16-CE-6398, Edward J. Fielkowski.
Also a repeat violator. This is the third time he's been cited for weeds, grass, or undergrowth at a height of more than 12 inches at 703 Holly Road. Citation was issued on 2/4/15 by posting of the property with no request for a hearing on the citation. Violation has not been corrected and the civil penalty has not been paid.
Not seeing the gentleman in the audience, I would like to make a motion that we find him guilty and also have a continuing penalty.
And to correct the violation.
And to correct the violation. That's my motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Could it be?
This one was pulled.
That was it.
That's it.
Does anybody have anything else? All right, meeting adjourned.
Thank you.